Hello, and welcome to another Droplet States of Matter development video. This is a much more detailed development log to help give you guys an overview of what is left to be done before the game is actually released. I started development of Droplet last year in January 2018. I haven't been working on it full time due to work and school obligations, but I've nonetheless made excellent progress. While I have not yet decided on the final number of atoms, I've settled on a total of 250 crystals to collect. Not counting the introduction level, there are now 7 hub areas to explore, 35 main levels, 8 main boss areas, and 20 smaller bonus levels. These bonus levels, which can be accessed through alternate paths to the main levels, consist of one of the following: 2D side-scroller stages based on the original Droplet from 10 years ago, bike stages where you ride a water cycle, and first-person shooter stages where you must defeat all the enemies in a room to progress. In addition, there are 16 artifacts to find which are located in special challenge areas. More often than not, they feature a unique mechanic or perhaps a fiendishly difficult platforming challenge. Reaching these artifacts requires some of the optional purchasable abilities, such as sprinting. You'll have to think outside the box to reach some of these areas, as they are very well hidden. You may have heard the game development terms of prototype, pre-alpha, alpha, beta, and release. There are no solid boundaries between what constitutes each of these. If I had to give Droplet an estimate as to which one it would fall under, it would be the late beta phase. The game is fully playable and all levels can be completed, but there are plenty of things that I still need to debug and test out. For example, I have not actually played through the entire game to 100% completion. While reaching the final boss takes roughly around 6 hours, 100% completion by my own estimates may take much longer, meaning there are more things to check for. I need to not only check for if it's possible, but also fun. Balancing the game's difficulty is by far one of the most challenging tasks. Every single jump and enemy placement will matter. The game has progressed in a way where the player can learn all the mechanics naturally and be ready for the challenges to come. The next thing after balancing the game's difficulty is the graphics. The game's levels are comprised of BSP brushes, basically Unreal Engine's drawing tool for blocking out levels. This is a much faster way to prototype level layouts than to actually go out and create the level meshes. The aesthetic the game has now has some good merits, but it is not what I imagined the final release to look like. The majority of the realistic textures either come from the starter content pack or are temporary assets I got from a Google search. In addition, BSP brushes in large amounts can be very slow to edit. My plan is to replace them with proper level meshes. Texturing them will also be tricky. I need to find a balance between what is easy to make and what looks good. So far, I've gotten positive reception regarding some of the game's character models with their retro aesthetic and simple colors. I'll likely adopt a similar approach with the levels, keeping textures simple but modeling in the details. Think of techniques similar to that of N64 and PS1 games, just now in HD and widescreen. A modern take on the graphical style of games from the late 90s and early 2000s. Speaking of graphics, one of the most common bits of feedback I get is the appearance of the player character. I'm not satisfied with the proportions and the way the game distinguishes the states of matter. This is definitely on the to-do list, but I'm actually looking to get every other character model done first. I anticipate the player character model being the most complex to design. Basically what I'm trying to do is to improve the silhouette for each different state of matter. Right now, the game just does a palette swap to indicate form changes, but aren't distinct enough to be obvious at a distance. Previous Droplet games changed the shape of the head. What I'm going for with the new design is to not only change the head, but also the clothes. I'm even looking to implement subtle animation differences such as ice form skating rather than walking, or cloud form gliding rather than jumping. On top of that, I want to make use of various particle effects to enhance the look further. One of the other things that needs to be done are character animations and cutscenes. I have nearly all cutscenes completed in terms of coding, but I'm also looking to add lip syncing to every line of dialogue. I want every NPC and boss character to have unique expressive personalities, able to convey certain ideas and emotions in a few amount of words. For example, Sobek is very stubborn and bombastic, but still honorable in defeat. On the other hand, Silicon, the quote-unquote greatest bounty hunter in the galaxy, shows off his petulant side when he's defeated. This, of course, brings me to the very last thing: voice acting. I've been recording placeholder voices for the time being. Thankfully, I think I can safely say I've finalized the game's plot, so I should be able to seek out proper voice actors now. So that's everything I still need to do. I originally aimed for a time frame of release for this month, but the game would feel very rushed and unpolished if I were to release it now. However, I'm hoping that within a few weeks, I'll be able to run a closed beta to gather more feedback to squash bugs or alter certain level designs. But beyond that, things are going very smoothly, and I'm looking forward to putting in all the finishing touches and releasing it for everyone to see before the end of the year. Before you go, why not check out my Discord channel if you want to follow the development of the game more closely. I post regular updates on my progress there. Anyway, thank you for following the development of Droplet States of Matter.